good afternoon, and welcome to the Danforth Staff Council Spring Forum. I'm Jessica Martzoff, Chair of the DSC, and I'm so excited to have you all here today. Thank you for taking the time to join us, both online and in person. I also want to take a moment to thank our council members and especially the events committee for their hard work in planning this event. Thank you. When our events committee meets to begin discussions for our next forum, we review the input from previous forums, questions, and other feedback we've received, changes or announcements from the university, and try to come up with a well-rounded event that covers as much ground as we can in 2 hours. This spring's forum will center around professional development, education, and belonging for staff on campus. We often hear from staff that they're unsure what their next career steps might be. They're not sure what positions they're qualified for or how to attain additional education or training they might need for those next steps. Some aren't sure how internal applications work, who might be able to see their applications, or who to contact if they have questions about a position. We plan to answer those questions and more with the help of our guests today. I hope that each of you here will leave today's forum with a better understanding of how to access career and educational resources available to you at WashU, and also how to continue to engage beyond today's forum with the DSC and other staff community groups. I also want to let you all know that we have listened to your feedback from previous forums and are eager to continue to get your questions and feedback. I'd like to introduce Courtney Couchard to tell you more about how you can submit questions during the forum today.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming. We are going to get our slide up here in just a minute, but I want to let you guys know about our question asking procedures. I am Courtney Couchard, the co-chair for the Danforth Staff Council Events Committee. I work in the Sam Fox School. I am here today with a team of 4 of us. Will Andrews, Cindy Skroska, and Kat Weir over here on the side are going to be moderating the chat and posing questions to our presenters. So the way that'll work is whether you are here with us today in the room or online on Zoom, everyone can submit their questions through Poll Everywhere. So there's 3 ways to do this. You can text OpenBear305 to the number 37607, and that'll get you started. You can scan this QR code, which will take you to the website, or you can type this website into your browser, pollev.com/OpenBear305. So that's where you can submit all of your questions. Cindy and Will be moderating and sort of formulating similar questions into one question, and then Kat and I will be reading those back. So we're going to put this slide up again after each of our presenters finishes. And then if there are questions that are maybe slightly off topic for the people that are here with us today, we're going to save those questions, send them back to our various committees, get a response, and share those with you at a later date on our website. So you can look out for those later. But please submit any and all of your questions, whether or not they're exactly related to our topics today, or if they're unrelated at all, we're happy to have them. We'll keep them as our record. And yeah, thanks very much.
Thanks, Courtney. And then next, I'd like to introduce Mariana Lopez Corral to share our land and labor acknowledgements.
Hello, everybody. Washington University of St. Louis occupies the ancestral, traditional, and contemporary lands of Osage, Otoe, Missouri, Illinois Confederacy, and Chippewa nations and tribes, as well as many other tribes. We, Washington University of St. Louis, benefits from the lost land from Native nations and tribes which had innumerable repercussions on their culture and population. We recognize their sorority was never ceded after unjust removal and encourage your own research on tribal removal, tribal sovereignty, and the history of the land where you reside. We promote the inclusion in tribal history, contemporary thoughts, and actions into your work. We affirm and support tribal sovereignty, history, and experiences by older, past, present, and 7 generations yet to come through their continued connections to this land. We must also respect respectfully acknowledge our debt to our enslaved people, primarily our African descent, who labor and suffer, build, and grew the economy and infrastructure of nation and refuse to recognize their humanity. We recognize our debt to exploited workers and past, present who suffer the horror of transatlantic trafficking, chattel slavery here in St. Louis through the 1904 World Fair, St. Louis Olympics, and later on dehumanization through segregation and Jim Crow laws. We mourn the loss of life, liberty, and opportunity. We acknowledge that the theft of labor is the theft of generational progress. Nearly all people of color have been robbed of the opportunity and wealth of their ancestors might otherwise have passed on to them. Thank you.
All right, and then we'll welcome our first speakers. We have Steve Baldwin, the Director of Recruitment with HR, and Joni Hill, Recruitment Consultant.
Well, first off, I want to thank you all very much for the opportunity to come and share with you a little bit about what we're doing in human resources and recruitment. And I'm with Joni Hill, who I'll introduce in just a little bit. So our vision in all of human resources is that Washington University's Human Resources and Institutional Equity will be strategic partners in delivering the university's missions through an unwavering focus on the people who make it great. And certainly that is you, the staff, and I'm excited that we can come and share a little bit about our slice of that in recruitment, how we hope to be able to help out in enabling that mission, in supporting you. In this presentation, which we have very limited time, so I'm going to try to move somewhat quickly. But we wanted to introduce our HR recruitment team and also describe some helpful information and new resources that are available to staff as they're thinking about career advancement or other positions at the university. And then finally, to provide some specific information about internal applications in the transfer process. And because of our limited time, one of our big goals is to be able to introduce our team and share with you resources on how to connect with us, how to get more information. So that's a lot of what the presentation will do. Our recruitment team is made up of multiple groups, our talent acquisition coordinators, and then our recruitment team, which consists of recruitment consultants, recruiters, and recruiting assistants, and then also certain recruitment team supporting roles. In particular, some of you, when you were first hired, may have interacted with our talent acquisition coordinators. They're the ones who help with making sure that the employment screenings are all done, hopefully in a pleasant way for people, and done prior to when people would start their position. They also facilitate things like reference checking and posting of positions. And then our recruiters are divided up into job families. And I've listed them here. You can find this information on our website as well. But part of the reason that we do that is so that individual recruiters can really focus in on the job families that they're working on. In a lot of cases, we have people that used to work in that field that are now recruiting for that field, so they can really understand the issues and help try to look for good matches. And also, we tend to find that when people are applying for jobs, often they apply for a similar type of job or in a similar job family. So by being divided this way, it allows our recruitment team to be able to notice and recognize people who are applying for certain job families and hopefully be able to connect them better with hiring managers who may be looking to fill a position. So in particular, we have our clinical recruitment team, administrative recruiters, IT, and also we have some recruiting assistants who support our recruitment team in various ways, such as screening and sourcing, proactive sourcing, things like that. We also have a group that focuses primarily on clinical research roles, and basic research roles, and then additional job families as well. And then we have certain strategic support roles that can help build new tools for our hiring managers and to look for good matches for positions. So our hope in dividing in this way is so that if people are looking for positions, we have recruiters who are familiar with that particular area and can help look for good fits and partner in that. I'd also like to take a little bit of time to describe some helpful information. In particular, there's a deep desire across the university to develop a culture of talent retention. And recognizing that staff like yourselves, there's great value in trying to retain strong talent within the university and give opportunities for people to grow in their careers and stay here through their career life. And so there's a desire, and we recognize certainly in recruitment, and I think supervisors as well. Sorry, let me go back here. There we go. Certainly supervisors as well, to be supportive of staff who are looking for ways to be able to stay here at the university, to grow their career, and also find different career trajectories right here at the university. Some things that we find that can be helpful for candidates, and certainly internal candidates who are looking for other positions here to know, are that for each posted position, if a person already works here, is already an employee at the university, your information appears at the top of the list for hiring managers. So when they go in and look at their position to review applicant information, current employees show up right at the top. And also, sometimes people wonder, is my information going to get stuck in HR before it goes on to a hiring manager? And the answer is no. Here at the university, job applications are immediately accessible to the hiring manager for that position and others on the hiring team at the time that a person would apply. So there's no bottlenecks. And you can rest assured that your information is with that supervisor, that hiring manager who's doing the hiring. And also, when a person applies for a position here at the university, it's only the hiring manager for that particular job and the people associated with that job that see that they've applied for that position. That they don't necessarily see that a person's applied for other positions. So sometimes people say, could it not look great that I'm applying for positions in a lot of different levels, or maybe very different types of positions? And we in recruitment would say no. We'd welcome anybody who meets the minimum requirements for a job and has an interest in that job. Go ahead and apply, because in that sense, it's almost like you're applying to a lot of different smaller businesses. We in recruitment do see, everyone who applies and all the positions they apply for, but we certainly encourage people to apply for everything that they're interested in that they meet the minimum requirements for. Also, another great benefit that people may know about, but I always like to share it, is right here at the university, there's the great tuition benefit for current employees, once they've worked here for a year, to be able to go for part-time evening undergraduate tuition costs, and 100% of those costs are covered, and also 50% for graduate tuition is covered. So this is a great way for people who start here at the university or who have been here for a while that are interested in learning other things or finding ways to position themselves to maybe move in other career trajectories at the university, for them to be able to do that. Also, I'm very excited to share some new things that are going on in recruitment. There's a newly created position, a lead role, that's our staff career advancement lead. And in particular, I might just introduce quickly Joni Hill, who we're very excited is moving into that role. Joni, if you want to stand just for a minute. So I'll just say, Joni has been here in human resources for 13 years. She's done a lot of work in a lot of different positions at the School of Medicine campus. So she has a lot of internal experience, knows a lot about different departments, schools, and we're excited that she's moving into that role. In general, the role is going to serve to foster career growth and retention of talent within the university, and also to serve as a resource for internal candidates to support that internal mobility and career progression. And in addition, to provide assistance to displaced and internal transfer candidates in navigating the university application system and the search process and how to figure out where to go and what to do. And also in improving job skills to prepare for the position, like interviewing skills, resume skills. Sometimes when a person's been in a role for a period of time, they might not be up on the current things that are happening in terms of how people are presenting themselves effectively through resumes or otherwise. And so this role is going to be able to help give some thoughts and advice on those particular things as well. This is a work in transition, so it's going to take time to ramp up over a period of time, but I'm excited to be able to share that resource with you. And certainly our website will continue to have information as that's unfolding. And lastly, in the presentation, we wanted to be able to provide some specific information regarding the internal application and transfer processes. So in particular, some of the things that we've been working on to try to make the application process and all of this process easier and smoother for current employees is to develop information and resources where they can go to learn how to apply in Workday. And one of the neat things about being a current employee here is that there are ways to go ahead and preload your work experience, your education, other professional information in Workday to make it much easier to go ahead and apply for positions here at the university. So we've included some links, and you can find these just by going to our HR Careers website, but some links that have instructions on how to apply as an internal candidate, and also in general, how to manage that work experience and professional job profile that you can do within Workday. Also, we've focused on trying to get just-in-time help, so resources for people when they're actually in the process of applying for a position. We've developed frequently asked questions that have kind of been developed over time as we've seen some of the questions that recur, and those can be found on our website as well. And we also have a dedicated email to answer specific questions that candidates might have, and internal candidates. That's this candidatequestions@wustl.edu. And our website gives more information on all these things and also how to contact various recruiters kind of with specific job families like I mentioned as well. One specific question that we wanted to go ahead and speak a little bit to in talking with Jessica and Evan, because it recurs, is sometimes, and it's very common, for individuals that are currently in a role to want to keep that job search confidential from people that they work with, initially at least. And there are ways to try to help do that, to try to help keep it confidential, at least until the final interviewing stages of the recruitment process. I will say there's not a way to absolutely guarantee that there would be no breach of that confidentiality, but I think in general our hiring managers are very respectful of people that are looking to try to keep their search confidential. So there are a few things to know and do that can help with that. One in particular is, like I mentioned before, to know that when applying for a position, your information is only going to be accessible to the hiring manager and hiring team for that position. So it's not as if others are going to see that you're applying for other positions, unless it happens to be in the same area where it's the same hiring manager that has access to that. But in general, they wouldn't be able to see that information. And also, it can be helpful to include statements in a cover letter or other places in the application process that say things like, please keep my search confidential for now or until a later stage in the process. And oftentimes, and certainly recruiters are glad to help encourage that as well, and we do with hiring managers. So these are a few ways to try to help mitigate the possibility and help ensure that the search would be kept confidential. It is important to know that at some point, prior to the offer, it's important for hiring managers here to get references and to get current supervisory references. So at that point, there would be a need to follow up with a reference. In general, we try to encourage our hiring managers to reach out to the candidate and make sure they know that that's going to happen if they haven't already included that earlier in their application process, like the contact information for the reference. We encourage our hiring managers to follow up specifically to let them know that they're interested in moving forward, but at that point, they really need to go ahead and get references. And if there might be any concerns that an employee would have, they can certainly contact us in recruitment, and we can try to help navigate that process. And then also, just wanted to share a little bit about transfer eligibility criteria. So in general, all of this information is on our website as well. But in general, an employee needs to have completed 9 months in their current position in order to be eligible for a new position, unless there are extenuating circumstances, like, for instance, if grant funding changes and there's no longer funding for that position or something like that. In those cases, our employee relations group within Human Resources can review and help people through that process. And also, it's important to have a mechanism, like I mentioned, for the hiring manager that's going to be extending the offer to get feedback from the person's current supervisor. And one typical form that takes is to have a performance evaluation from the last 18 months that's signed, or some information from the supervisor that would give some feedback in that process. And then also another criteria for transfer eligibility is that a person would have maintained an acceptable level of performance that didn't involve corrective action in the last 9 months. All right, and I know I'm getting very close to time. I wanted to leave some time for questions, but also just to say, please visit our hr.wusel.edu careers for internal candidates website, because that has all of the information that I've shared, links to that information, and how to contact us in recruitment with questions too. With that, I'd be glad to answer any questions. Joni is here as well to help answer questions.
Thanks very much. This is Courtney again. I will read some of the questions that came in through our poll. The first question is, can hiring managers ask recruiters for help selecting good candidates from an application pool?
Yes, hiring managers do routinely ask for that type of thing. We try to be here to facilitate the process for hiring managers and help guide them in how to do that. We have a lot of great tools that can help surface strong candidates right within Workday and otherwise, but part of what our recruitment team does is help out hiring managers along the way when they need it with some ideas and help based on what they need at whatever stage in the process they might need that help.
Thank you. Next, will recruitment help a department reach out to people who have not applied if a department wants a more diverse candidate pool?
So in general, yes, absolutely. We have another role that I didn't call out specifically in those strategic support roles, but it's a role Carrie Eckelkamp has that helps try to work with community partnerships to draw and diversify, strengthen our applicant pools. I will say one thing that we're careful about is not to go out and solicit current employees, that are happy in their job to look for another job. We're definitely not looking to try to move people who are happy in what they're doing, but we do try to have resources and outreach to broaden and diversify our applicant pools. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mark Prosperi. I work in HR and recruitment as well.
Mark is my supervisor, so he's the executive director of talent management.
I just want to kind of elaborate on that last question. The recruiters can help a hiring manager develop strategies to help develop a diverse slate of candidates, whether that's helping them identify places where they should post the position, using LinkedIn to help create pipelines, so they can be provide a lot of consultation on how to diversify an applicant pool.
Great.
Thanks.
Hi, my name is Evan Kyle. I serve as a co-chair for Danforth Staff Council. If I'm a staff member and I'm wondering what positions may fit my current experiences, or what kind of exploring what options may be available for my next step, do you all offer any sort of like consultation or assistance with that?
Yeah, so that is part of what we're transitioning to and is underway, is to develop career pathing so that we can offer some assistance in thinking, oh, if you've been working in this area but you're interested in this area, what are some potential career paths to maybe move in that? What would it look like at the university? What are some things that could prepare or help a person position themselves to be in a stronger place to move in that particular career direction? So that's something that's underway in transition. It's going to take time to build up, but I'm excited, and I know Joni, all of our team has been talking a lot about those very things.
Thank you. I really appreciate you answering that. I'm really excited to hear that we're moving that direction.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will just say our individual recruiters in specific job families already are, very much adept at being able to help within that job family too. So.
I think we have one more question that I think is important to ask. I think many of the resources and opportunities you're talking about are for full-time staff. Are the opportunities or processes any different for part-time staff?
So part-time positions are listed as well at our jobs.wusel.edu website. So a person can go and search for those and look for part-time positions, but absolutely, those are available as well.
Yeah. Thank you. Jessica, do we have time for one more? Sure. Sorry, we're going to squeeze it in. What strategies does HR use to ensure that we're reaching a more diverse pool in all departments? And I think Mark talked about that a little bit, but maybe we can expand on that.
Right. So a more diverse pool of candidates that are being
an applicant pool. Mm-hmm.
Right. So we certainly are trying to make sure and look to make sure our job descriptions are written in a way that helps capture the idea of what the job is and who would be qualified and be well fit for that role, so that it wouldn't unintentionally make certain people feel like they wouldn't be a good candidate when they would be. So that's something that we are working on, kind of a work in process. And also just with our posting and outreach, we try to look for ways that we can get that out to a variety of different people and different groups, and encourage people to keep an eye on our jobs.wusel.edu website, where all of our new positions are posted.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve and Joni. I appreciate all of the information shared. So we'll move on to our next group, and I'd like to welcome to the stage Julie Ellen Acosta, the Associate Vice Chancellor for Learning, Leadership, Organization Development, and ILE, and Carla Bailey, our Director of Human Resources, Learning and Development.
Thank you. My team equipped me with notes in case I forgot anything. So I'm going to put that down there for right now. I'm Julie Acosta. In full confession, I am only a little over a year old to WashU. Another big confession, I'm also an aerospace engineer, okay? But what I want to tell you is a little bit about our journey, and a journey I've been on before, to talk about our organization real quickly and how we evolved, and to bring you some exciting news. And of course, I brought Carla Bailey with me. Well, she's going to be able to talk with us about 9 courses that we'll be rolling out here in just another month or so. And I want to be able to have her have that conversation with us. So, long title, lots of words. Basically started out about a year ago in this role. And it started out really as learning and development, right? We just started with a few souls, and basically we had just come through the pandemic, right? So we had a lot of online learning. We had a lot of LinkedIn resources. And along comes, I'm working for a new leader, Scott Bemis, who has come to WashU. And he basically says, hey, I want us to start really looking at what does it look like to go back to more in-person type of curriculum as we go forward. I walked in at the tail end of one of the cohort classes being offered through the Institute for Leadership Excellence. It was our accelerated program. And when Scott and I were having this conversation, he says, we're only touching 30 souls as we're in that particular class, right? Carla was leading, was actually our liaison to that effort. We had an external consulting firm helping us to lead that. And so that began the conversation about a year ago. What can we do? And let's face it, when we look at our staff resources at WashU, there's a little over north of 15,000 resources. 3,000 to 4,000 of those resources are managers and managers of managers. It's a pretty big pyramid of resources when you look at what we need to go tackle. And that was really where Scott was coming from. I'm not blaming this on Scott. It really raised my awareness. Oh my gosh, this is a much bigger job. So I will bring you some information about ILE and the cohort programs, because we are now winding up our second set of cohorts. Actually, there's 3 cohorts that we've had in play, and I'll show you that here in just a minute. But I really want to reserve the rest of the time to really have the conversation about what's rolling out here in another month that will really hit more of the staff. And even at that, it's really more of a pilot and a soft launch, because guess what? You're the first people we're talking to. We need your feedback. We need you engaged in these courses that we're going to roll out, because we haven't figured out what we're going to do in the fall of 2024. You get to help decide that. Okay, so that's part of the purpose here. So I came from a local aerospace company and basically had the opportunity at what I would call 3/4 through my career to go stand up something very similar at the company. It involved leadership development, learning and development, and organizational development. It was actually called organizational effectiveness. As a business leader, I came out of the business. I had been running a lot of programs. So I came in with a little bit different view. I was very much focused on our product. I was very much focused on the teams I had built over 45 years in working in the business. And what was really great was to be with people that actually knew why I did what I did as a leader. They were able to unpack my stories and understand from what I call a tool set perspective, how we could take that out to play and how we could stand up a similar set of services and products and classes for our employees at the company I was at. So we're taking that out for a trot here, and so I want to talk a little bit about our methodology, and I'm going to try this real quickly. I'm going to talk about 3 things in particular, because anytime you get an opportunity to kind of start over and you get a chance to think about, okay, the services that we deliver, which includes courses, it actually includes services and partnerships with leaders, and it also includes something like what we have in ILE, which are programs. You have to kind of think about what's your mindset. How are you going to teach that? You've heard of work to your strengths, strength finder, strength builder, whatever. There's all kinds of gigs out there about when you go into specific courses, what they're going to focus on. Well, what I'm about to tell you is when you look at any of the services and as we start, this is kind of what we're focused on. You start with the 70-20-10 rule. Carla will go into this more. But what I want you to do is take a moment, think about your own career, just right now, and how you've developed yourself. Where did you learn the most? Where did you gain the experience? It's probably in that 70% range, which is what we call experience. Most of our know-how, and I do mean know-how, we know how to do something, comes from experience, right? 20% actually comes from, like, if we have a personal coach, we have somebody that's very focused on ourselves and our personal needs in terms of development. That's where it gets a little more personal. That's about a 20% hit. 10% is actually formal education. You can learn it, but you got to apply it, right? So that's that 70-20-10 that we talk about. So that's kind of at the root of everything that we do. Leaders teaching leaders. This is powerful. We got a chance this last 2 cohorts that we offered starting last fall to be able to introduce WashU Leaders Teaching Leaders into our ILE programs, our Emerging Leaders and our Leads program, all right? What does that mean? You bring in leaders. In fact, Kurt was one of our leaders that we brought in, Kurt Dirks. We brought in leaders both from Danforth, Brown, as well as, we've had them from everywhere. It was amazing, the modules that they would come in and they would teach. 9-month programs, 9-month cohort programs. 8 of those 9 months had themes to each one of them. We'd bring in a WashU leader that thematically could talk about an experience that they had that really resonated with that theme. We coupled them with and partnered them with one of our folks, and our folks, once the leader told the story, they could unpack it. Our leaders would go in, our HR leaders would, OD leaders primarily, Carla's team, and unpack that story so that the participants can walk away with a tool set, information applied to their particular area of interest, okay? So again, experiential leading. That's what that is, experiential learning, experiential leading. So we want to really continue that. Even Carla will tell you with the classes she'll be offering, there's going to be an element of bringing in a leader, being a part of that as we're teaching curriculum. It's the same thing that we do. I'll talk a little bit about what OD does, but primarily 2 of the 3 organizations that we stood up on our journey was to be able to bring that experiential learning in, experiential partnership in with our leaders, along with the classes that we're teaching. Last but not least, there's a reason that pyramid is upside down. Okay, again, aerospace engineer, used to dealing with whether it's engineers, it's mechanics, you name it, I've had the opportunity to serve. It's all about the product, it's all about the people. Some might call this a servant leadership type of model back in the day, but when you think about from a mindset, what we're teaching and what we're trying to do, it's about that team, right? Even when it comes to helping leaders become better leaders, it's about the people on the floor, the people that actually do the work. When I think about our pyramid of resources, there's 15,000. If out of 15,000, 3,000 are managers, plus or minus, there's a lot of people that could actually use some development, right? And it goes all the way through that pyramid. Primarily, our services, we're focused on frontline leaders. That's, in fact, our ELP class in ILE, and our mid-level leaders. That's our leaders of leaders. Primarily where our OD team, our organization development team will focus, will be partnering with senior leaders, but it's not just the senior leader, it's also their team. So primarily that OD, and they're also our bench strength for teaching in our ILE classes, and they're also going to be our bench team with the L&D team to actually teach our curriculum, all right? And so that's where you will basically see our services right now, is basically for the preponderance of the staff as we go forward. All right, this is a year old, and the reason is we're getting ready to open up applications May 1st. We will offer 2 cohort programs. We've currently had 3. In fact, I've got some coaches. Where's the coaches in here? Where's our coaches? There's Amber. All right, Amber's in our coaching cohort. We developed this cohort to actually enable and help with our other 2 ELP and lead classes. Okay, so we take 30 people, we divide them into 6 teams, and we have these coaches helping to coach them. Okay, so basically what you're seeing is this is where we focus for frontline leaders, mid-level leaders, and what we're looking to operate on, what you see in parentheses up there, we're re-looking at the criteria. We're re-looking at, do we need to not tighten it up, loosen it up? Okay, when we look at, especially as we start going through applications in the June timeframe, with the hope that we're going to launch, actually be able to tell people early July. Okay, so that one's right in front of us. We will make sure we get Jessica and Evan the link. Everything will be on our website so that you can apply. And with that, I get to do my thing. So now what we're going to do is spend the majority of our time on what Carla's going to launch. Carla Bailey, she is our Director of Learning and Development.
Thank you. Thank you, Julie. I am going to try to do something that I saw once that hung, a sign that hung in a colleague's office. That sign said, be bright, be brief, and be gone. So I'm going to try to do that. All right, so I'm excited to come to you today. As Julie said, that you are the very first staff members to hear about the exciting news that we're going to do within L&D, which is to bring our courses back in person. And so we are excited to share with you about what's going to happen in just a few short weeks, because it's April, between April and May, and April and May is coming very quickly. And so we're going to talk about what we do, and our purpose is cultivating a culture of continuous learning, because learning happens all the time. It's embedded and ingrained into our everyday work life. And so we want to create that culture of learning that really enhances leadership effectiveness, empowers employees' growth, and supports organizational success. And so the focus is really not on training, although you will get training. Really the approach is more on development, developing the whole person, both personally and professionally. And to make sure that you don't just come to a session, but actually you do things either before and during the session, but also after the session as well. That your development continues well beyond the workshop or this session that you may attend. That you're always taking it back to your prospective workplaces as well. And so with that, it's not just a theory based off training, but it's really based off development. And so again, I always say, many of you, I look around the room, I've had the pleasure of having you in my class many times. You've heard me say it once, you've heard me say it again today. The real work begins when the workshop ends. And so that's that practice piece. So when you come to a session, then when you leave that session, that's your opportunity to go back to your prospective workplaces and to be able to practice those skills. When you come to a class, you're introduced to models and to frameworks and best practices. But then you have an opportunity to take that new learning that you just obtained in that session, take it back to your prospective workplaces and to begin to practice to build capabilities in that prospective area. So it's development plus the practice. And then we also not just want to talk about the 9 classes that we're going to do as a soft launch to reintroduce some of the curriculum from L&D, but we want you to think about it. So they have 9 classes, but what can I do in addition to maybe attending these classes? And so we want to give you resources because we always talk about extending the classroom or extending the learning or reinforcing the learning. So we want to make sure, in addition to the classes that you come to, that you have resources that will help you deepen your learning well beyond the sessions that you attend. So making sure that we're not just talking about developing one part, but we're developing a mindset, a skill set, and a tool set. So the mindset really talks about your attitudes and your beliefs and your perspectives. So we want to challenge you that when you come to the sessions, that we're going to challenge you and introduce you to models and to framework that will help you to develop and shift, have experienced mindset shifts, and to experience behavioral changes and widen and broaden your perspective. And then also we do want to work on the skill set. So we want to be able to things like to enhance your capabilities, strengthen your muscle and your competencies and the essential skills that you acquire through the sessions as well. And then we also want to make sure that you walk away with a robust tool set that's going to be able, again, to help you deepen those skills and that knowledge that you've obtained in the sessions that you attend. So again, those 3 things in perspective. So we are going to do a soft launch. And again, it's going to happen around late April, early May. You will hear, we'll make sure that we're here doing a teaser today, giving you a little bit hot off the press. But we are going to make sure that you stay up to date every step of the moment. You'll have information on our website. We'll be doing a broadcast communications through working in partnership with our HR communications manager to ensure that you stay up to date and you know exactly how to access these classes when we roll them out. And so most of our classes will happen on these particular days. Class days, Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. They'll be anywhere from duration of 3.5 hours, some may be shorter. We will also be using the link location. So we will do a broader kind of review. What we're going to be doing, I want to say too, we want to do this in partnership with you. You all know this, many times when you come to the classes, we say that you help us build a program that's impactful and meaningful for you. So as you give us, when you attend a session at the end and you give us feedback, that helps us to make sure that we are learning as an L&D team and that we're listening and creating a learning environment that's most impactful for you. So you'll be able to speak into, when you come to a session, you'll be able to speak into, is this the right duration for a class? Is this the right location? Are these the right days for the class offerings? Would we like to see more in-person classes? Would we like to see a blended learning solution? So you'll be able to speak directly into those things. Give us that data that would help guide our future decisions. So we're really excited about your partnership as well. So here's just a sample working list of the classes that we will have. We're going to be doing the scope of work will involve development in all 3 areas: leadership development, management development, and professional development. Again, talking about the blended learning approach. And so we know that in today's world of work, and especially with the shift of the pandemic, that we have to build programs that if we really want to do things that are impactful, to build a really robust learning program, we have to be able to offer different methods and different delivery. So you're going to have some offerings that will be in person. You'll have offerings that will be done virtually. And you also will have learning that's available to you online. Most of you are probably familiar now with our LinkedIn Learning, which is available to all staff and no charge. I see some nods in the room. And so, which is a really good thing to be able to do on demand, because sometimes, how many of you know, you can't wait till another session is scheduled, right? You need the learning right now. I need to know how to do this. And you can pull it up right on your own when you need it to be able to get just-in-time learning. So that's important. So you don't have to wait to acquire the skills and the knowledge that you need. You could do it anytime, right at your fingertips as well. All right, so Julie talked a little bit about 70-20-10, so I won't belabor, but this is a model about adult learning that really came about in research from the 1980s. And it says, how do you and I learn as adults? So 70% of our learning comes from what Julie said, experiential learning. or learning by doing, learning through practice. And what does that look like in the world of work, back in your prospective workplaces? It looks like things like job rotations. It looks like job shadowing. It could be increased scope of responsibility. It could be leading a special committee or leading a special project. So it's all of those things that really happen in the everyday workplace, something that you could be doing, a part of creating that continuous learning culture. And then we have the 20%. 20% is what we call sometimes social learning, or it's called peer-to-peer learning. It's learning from others. It's what Julie said, sometimes it includes coaching, it includes mentoring, it includes things like peer-to-peer learning, peer-to-peer coaching, and it also can include things like belonging to a part of a communities of practice. It also includes things like maybe belonging to a professional organization. So that's where 90% of our learning happens. So we want to make sure that we're building programs, and as you and I, as we think about our own individual learning, that we're not doing 70, 20, or 10, but we're doing 70, 20, and 10 to make sure that we have a really robust development plan for ourselves, and that we're tapping into all of those avenues. And then so the 10% is kind of like that formal learning that Julie alluded to. And so the formal learning could be things like formal workshops, like the 9 that we're going to offer. It could be listening to a podcast, reading a Harvard Business Review article, or it could be maybe just reading a book, a chapter of a book. So it's things like that. So we want to make sure that we're not putting an emphasis on one more than the other, but we're including all 3. And then again, this is the part I'm really excited about, because again, we are your growth partners, and we want to do this in partnership with you, to making sure that we're building modern learning environments and learning experiences and learning environments that is impactful, that is value add to you as employees, and we cannot do this without your feedback. Your feedback is a gift to us, and it helps us to grow. Yes, we have expertise in this area, but we like to hear from you about what you need and how you want this program to look. So I'm excited about using this soft lunch as an opportunity to collect data, and that data we'll be looking at to help guide and shape our future decisions. And guess who gets to help do that? Say me. You get to help us out. All right. Thank you so much, and now we're going to open the floor for Q&A.
Yep. Good job.
I am Kat Weir, and I'm with the Center for Teaching and Learning, and today with the Events Committee for the Danforth Staff Council. I'll be asking a couple questions that have come in through our submission process. Are there any costs associated with participation in ILE? And will being involved in ILE impact the budget allocated for my professional development already?
The first question was, is there any cost for the ILE class? No, there is not a cost. What was the second one?
It was, will being involved impact the budget already allocated for my professional development? But I think the answer is probably no.
Yeah, no, I just didn't hear the second one, yeah.
Our next question is, does HR offer scholarships to staff to pursue education and training outside of the university, such as professional group memberships or attending national level professional conferences?
Nope, I'm looking at.
You don't?
No.
It sounds like
By department, right?
it sounds like that'll be decided department by department. So
Correct.
contact your departmental
Thank you.
leaders for those. And what does professional development look like for staff who are not in leadership positions but want to grow in their current role?
That's a very great question. And that's one of the things that's been a challenge at Washington University. So formerly, I'll just speak to our L&D classes. Previously, there was a definition that if you wanted to attend, many of you know, a leadership class or management class, you had to have at least one direct report in order to attend. And so that's why we're excited that we're separating it out now by management. You'll see management development, and then you see that leadership development. So leadership development is going to be anyone who's leading self or anyone who's leading others. It's because it's very important that we change our definition of leadership, because everyone's a leader. I don't think I've ever met anyone who's not a leader. And so whether you're leading self, leading others, or leading the organization, we're all leading something. And so we want to make sure as an organization, it's when you think about development, it's a shared responsibility, right? You think about this circle and it intertwines in the middle. You have the employee who sits in that driver's seat of their career and their development. You have the leader or that manager who is a partner in helping them to grow and support them in that development. And then you have the organization who actually creates opportunities, like WashU is doing by offering classes, offering the Institution for Leadership Excellence. And so all those things have to work together. And in the middle, you see us supporting. So that's where the university is going to come and be able to, anyone who is leader of self, leading a project, will be able to attend any of those leadership development courses.
So this is the part where I make my own team very nervous because I'm going to ad-lib a little bit. But this is where you come in, right? If you're really talking about the area, when we go back to the pyramid, right? 15,000 people minus, let's take away 4,000 of that. That's 11,000 people. So if we're really talking about folks that are not necessarily interested in a management track, but we're interested in professional development, my gut tells me, always gets me in trouble, but my gut tells me we're going to be really looking at that area of professional development, right? This is where you come in. When we soft launch each of these areas, right? We've got to have management development, we've got to have leadership development, and specifics. You think about when you saw what we had up there as topics, if you will. And then this last area of professional development, that may be the one that as we get into that, we've got to expand that area. And that's what we need help with as we go further. That's why we have not potted classes for the fall of 24 or the spring of 25 yet. Okay, fair enough?
Thank you. Just to follow up on that, this is a relatively big change from the last cohort, right? So this is like big news for the 11,000 of us that don't have a direct report, right?
Yep, you can thank that guy right there. He's
Thank
the
you
one
very
that
much,
came on
Scott.
board.
It's really,
You
I
did
heard
him.
some snaps over there, so thank you. That's really great to hear.
Yeah.
Thanks. Sorry, this is Courtney again. We passed the mic. One more question. Will the L&D classes be during the day or the evenings? And do supervisors need to give approval if it's during the workday?
Yes, so they will be during the day. And yes, you always have to get supervisor approval to be able to take time away to attend.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I imagine that supervisors have been made aware that their staff will now have opportunities, and they should perhaps encourage them and make space and time for them to pursue these opportunities.
I'm kind of seeing that in a memo, aren't you?
I was going to say, this is something that's not new to the culture, but we might need to do some re-establishing of
We need to do
expectations.
some things,
Yeah.
I think the staff would welcome that. Thank you. Just a moment, please.
How can a team schedule in-person training together?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah.
How can a team schedule in-person training together?
That's a good question.
That's a great question.
So L&D classes, I will tell you, typically are general open sessions. So they're held at a specific location, and then they're open to employees university-wide. So we've always had a very good representation from the medical school, from our West Campus office, and so some, even Illinois, some branches. And so we'll talk about being able, there is a team, but we'll have to be able to come back, and maybe I'll do a sidebar with you about specific teams, but L&D classes are more of our general sessions that we don't travel, but we might be able to talk about in future opportunities and offerings if you want to give us some information.
So there, a little peek behind the scenes. One of the things we're having to do, and this is new learning for me, is we're moving our classes from Learn at Work to Workday. Now, that might sound super easy. You just lift and move them over. Not the case. But now, what it does mean, we have a lot more capabilities. So I have a lot of hope. It's not a plan yet. That the question you just asked, there may be some ways that we can create that to happen. Right now, like you said, it's open because it's the current SAVA system, so let's hold that thought. They're all nervous. They're not looking at me now, okay? Because they're like, oh my God, what did she just say?
Phase 2.
Phase 2. Is that it? Okay.
I think that's what we've got for you. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Julie and Carla, for sharing all that great information and some new information, which is really exciting. So next we're going to welcome Dean Sean Armstrong, the Dean of the School of Continuing Professional Studies, and Rebecca O'Laughlin, the Student Pathways Manager with the CAPS program.
Sure. I'll pass this to you.
Okay.
Do you want to sit or stand?
You can sit.
Okay. It doesn't matter to me.
Rebecca wasn't sure if I was going to show up, so.
I'm glad you showed up.
Hello, everybody. It's great to see a lot of familiar faces. Yeah, and we see some CAPS employees. So Marlene, Jacqueline, George, Haley. Any CAPS students? By show of hands?
I was going to ask who in here has ever taken a class through CAPS, formerly U College, University College? And I know there's a bunch of folks on Zoom too, and that's kind of fun for me. Just walking in here, getting to see people I recognize from classes or on rosters, names on the screen. So when you take a CAPS class, you're a WashU student as well as a WashU employee. So that's really neat.
And when you graduate, you're a WashU alumni too, so it's fantastic. Yep. So we're going to talk about a few things today. We're looking at just a 30,000-foot view of our vision, why we're here, what we're doing, the principles that guide us, and of course, we'll talk about courses and opportunities for employees to take advantage of the programs that we offer. So we'll start with, I guess I'll go with the definition. So, you've heard students who take courses in what was U College, now Continuing and Professional Studies, or CAPS. You've heard them, those students called non-traditional learners. You've heard adult learners, and we've been saying modern learners. So just by way of a definition, a non-traditional learner, we don't use that because of the negative connotation, so we don't want to call anybody a non-anything. Adult learner doesn't really apply to one specific population because everyone on this campus is an adult because they're over the age of 18. And so modern learners seem to be the one that really describes our population, and those are students for whom school is not their only priority, and that's how we define that. So many of our students have family, life obligations, they have work, so all of those things become priorities in addition to school, so they're juggling many different things. Now, the reason why we're here, when we talk about rising demand, there are some, I'm going to quote it here, there are 40% of the students in higher education are over the age of 25. Alternative credentialing, we have many private organizations offering credentialing to students either on their own or they're doing it in partner with institutions. And there is a rise in the number of people who have some college, no degree, who desire to return to earn their degree in higher education. And so in 2018, I think Chancellor Martin saw the writing on the wall and decided to make a major investment by taking a capital asset and pointing it towards that modern learner or adult population. And that's the reason for our existence. Now, close to 40 million people have some college, no degree. That's in the country, so we're talking national trends now. In Missouri, we are at about 640,000 people who have some college, no degree. And there's a tremendous opportunity, I think, not for us, WashU, to take the major, to be the major lead in that, but I think all of the higher education institutions in this arena, in this state, can take a lead in helping people to attain their credential, whether it's a certificate, a higher ed certificate, or degree. The state had a goal by 2030, I think it's some 60% of the people will have that credential. Initially, when they did this report, it was supposed to be a degree, but they found that for whatever reason, there are people who don't want to make that type of commitment. And so what other things could we offer as an institution for people who wanted to do that? And that's where you see some of the non-credit, what we're calling professional credit types of coursework come into play. And so you may see, a popular one right now is Tableau. And there's an opportunity for us to offer a certificate in Tableau so individuals can learn that and apply that to their job once they complete that particular course. So Haley is a great example of that. She took the Tableau course with us and is helping us run different types of reports for us to review when we're looking at our student population. So in terms of where we fit, and you see I have challenges and opportunities there. It's really a really good opportunity for us to create a space within that workforce area, that skill development area, and in an institution as prestigious as Washington University. When we talk about, I guess the best way for me to put it is we have the opportunity to really use our imagination to solve some really challenging problems here in St. Louis. And so one of the things that I've talked about is working with employers to guarantee jobs for individuals who earn certificates or degrees with us. And that sounds like something that's super outrageous. But if we work together with a company to co-develop curriculum that they say addresses the skill needs that they have now and into the future, and they're willing to develop an individual culturally to make sure that they're a good fit within the organization, it's not a stretch for us to have that as a goal. And so that's one of my big goals. I have a lot of notes here, and I will probably come back to them in a Q&A, but I'm going to hand it over to Rebecca here. Oh, this is still me. Apologies. So, in terms of why, I think I've explained why we're here. There's a great need for us to align with workforce, whether it's industry or it's our local government or our state government, who have already assessed what the needs are in the area. There's also an opportunity for us to prepare people who have not had an opportunity who are academically qualified but have not had an opportunity to come to an institution like this, to be here and to take advantage of the benefits that we offer. And we have many ways of doing that. So, of course, I've talked about our degree programs. We have professional credit certificate programs that we're running. I think many of you may know about our prison education program. We have an OLLI program for those who are 50 and over, which I qualify for, so there's that.
I'm almost there.
You're almost there. And then we have our English language program for people who are either on campus or off campus or at the medical school campus who would like to acquire the language in a way that helps them to speak more clearly. So it's not, we're not necessarily talking about accent reduction or anything like that, but just helping people to communicate more clearly. And then we offer opportunities for individuals who are contractors on campus. There's a part of me that says if we want to create an opportunity for people within the St. Louis region, we look at those people every day, and those are people who help to make this campus beautiful and to keep it clean. And there's benefits for them, and we'd like for them to take advantage of it, and we're here to help them as much as possible.
Great. So as Dean Armstrong was just saying, CAPS aims to serve those who historically have been excluded from WashU and provide holistic support. We try to be accessible, relatively affordable. So when it comes to supporting folks who want to pursue higher education, gain additional skills, providing that development, providing opportunities to stack credentials that will lead to those career paths. We are starting to do more career coaching and other steps to really make CAPS innovative when it comes to addressing higher education in the St. Louis area. So this was mentioned at the first session we heard about the WashU employee benefit. So here's the scoop, and this is one of the questions we get a lot from you all, is how does it work? What's the scoop? What are the limitations? Basically, if you are a full-time benefits eligible WashU employee, you can take classes for free, up to 7 credits per semester, spring, summer, and fall. using the tuition benefit. So the benefit covers 100% of undergraduate courses, 50% of graduate courses. So for those folks who want to do a master's degree or something like that, the benefit covers 50%. People can pursue degrees. We have an associate's degree, bachelor's degrees, some master's degrees. We have a pre-nursing program that's pretty robust. There are certificate programs, and people can also take individual classes like that Tableau class for personal enrichment or professional development. So the classes are evening classes. We have online classes as well. Some online classes meet over Zoom, typically once a week in the evening. Other online classes are completely asynchronous, but we really try to get to know each student, each person interested in taking classes through CAPS, whether they are pursuing some sort of credential or just taking classes, to really identify what their goals are, what their interests are, and work with them and support them as best as we can. We really like to get to know each student's story, and I've been in CAPS long enough now that I've gotten to see, again, people like you, people who work at WashU, get that degree, get that certificate, and then use that to, move up or get a promotion. And for me, for my job, it's very fulfilling to see. I think it's a great benefit. What else can we say? Applications reviewed on a rolling basis. People can start at any time. We're very flexible. We're working to accommodate busy working adults who are juggling many things. So we are as flexible as we can be to accommodate busy adults.
And I think we have some questions for you before we ask you questions, or you can ask us questions and we'll get through these questions. But I'd love to hear from anyone in the audience or anyone online, or I can just continue with this. I think the audience has pros, they know.
Yes, give me one moment.
Okay. Please.
Will you continue the summer writing program?
We have suspended the summer writing program, yes. So we've been going through the last, I would say, beginning this year, looking at a lot of what we've been offering and trying to streamline. So so it's very difficult to become a standalone school. And so in doing so, we have to look at all of the things that we've been, all of our expenses, and bring them in line to our revenues. So we're trying to balance the balance sheet.
But I will say, although the Summer Writers Institute is being suspended, there are still creative writing classes, and to my knowledge, those aren't going away. And those are great classes. We have a certificate in creative writing, so those are still available, just not through the Summer Writers Institute format.
So I will say, one of the things I wanted to mention, we started a strategic plan, was the first one for the school. So school established in 1931. It was a standalone school, then it went into arts and sciences and then back out in 2018. 2022, we created our strategic plan. It's supposed to be a 3-year plan that'll end in 2025. And then we have one that will start 2026 to 2031, which will be our 100-year anniversary. And so in this plan, it was how do we structure everything so that we're a sustainable school moving forward. So there are decisions we had to make to put some things on hold, to prioritize things like student support. And so we're going a very different direction with student support, with career support, and we're working with University Career Services on what our model might look like in collaboration possibly with their model. And so I think there are some really good opportunities, but in the meantime, there are some things that we just had to say, it's kind of a niche, we're gonna put it to the side and figure out what's best for the greater group of students before we move on.
Thank you. A question came in. Is there a marketing campaign for CAPS to reach a more diverse community in the St. Louis area? And what is the diverse makeup of CAPS now?
That's a great question.
I won't quote it, but Haley can, because.
Do you want me to?
Sure.
Hi, I'm Haley Delosic. I do data analytics for CAPS, and I'm also the archivist for the Danforth Staff Council, which is a nebulous role that means that I help things move forward and keep track of them as they go. Okay, so that's who I am. Who our students are, though? We're looking at, about half of our students being employees right now. So the demographics of the university come to us also. And so we're looking at 70% female and 30% male as self-identified. And we have a racial ethnic breakdown of 70% white, 20% Black or African American, and then the remainder is split out in small percentages. And we have representation from counties throughout the St. Louis region. And depending on the program, the makeup is a little bit different. So who you might see in your classes might look a little different. But we're working hard, of course, to bring in more diverse audiences and making sure that we're reaching the people of St. Louis, which includes y'all.
Right. And we're doing that. So our marketing director would want me to tell you that we're using an omni-channel marketing format. I can hear her smiling right now, or see her smiling right now. And so what that means is we're using all of the available marketing entry points. That would be email, mailing to some extent, or physical mail to some extent. Our social media, website, which is going to undergo a redesign, and we should have a redesigned website, we hope, by the fall semester. And so all of those things will integrate to give us one really clean look and one way of presenting ourselves to the community and, of course, to different sectors of the community as well.
Thank you. I'd also like to note that Haley just recited all of that data from her mind with
Yes.
no notes, so kudos. Follow-up question, what is the time commitment, cost, value add, and work-study balance for participating in CAPS? I think you've already talked about the cost to employees, full-time employees. It is 100% benefit, no cost. But as far as average time commitment, value add, balance for work, life, studying?
Yeah, I think most students take, it's 5.6 credit hours a semester. It's really 6. So 2 classes per semester is what many of our students take. The time commitment, I think, is similar to what we've seen in the national average over the years, 2 hours to 1 credit hour taken. So it is a significant amount of time that one needs to dedicate to their studies. The opportunity cost is probably something that Rebecca could speak to in terms of how she might advise a student or work with a student. And I don't know if you have a scenario in mind that you might want to walk somebody through if they're working full-time and what you would tell them in terms of.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, we work really closely with each student or prospective student. If it's somebody coming in with no prior college or maybe a handful of community college credits from 10 years ago, we're not going to say jump into a bunch of really hard classes right away. We're going to ease into things. Maybe start with one class, start with some introductory classes. It is a time commitment, but there is also that flexibility. It's not uncommon that someone says, summers, my job is really hectic. I really don't have time to devote to classes. I need to take the summer off. Totally fine. Or I need to cut back to just one class at a time. Awesome. And then, we work really hard to figure out with each student, again, what their goals are, help them if they're working towards a degree, get that degree as efficiently as possible without getting burned out, without getting totally overwhelmed, and getting that success. And for the benefit, I think is just it's sort of the theme of today. It's continuing your education, professional development, gaining those skills that might benefit you professionally. I feel like I often have conversations with students or prospective students who say, I find myself in this job where, I'm doing all this marketing, but I never really learned marketing formally. Can I take some classes or earn a certificate? And then you have those skills as well as that credential to put on your resume. That's certainly not going to hurt anything. And if you could do it for free, even better.
And starting school is one of the major life stressors, especially for an adult. So, birth of a child, death of a family member, buying a home, getting divorced, getting married. Those are major life stressors, and so is starting school. And so it shouldn't be taken lightly. There shouldn't be somebody who wakes up in the morning and says, oh, I'm going to earn a degree today. No, there's a lot more that goes into that. There's some planning involved, and we'd like for you to take the opportunity to speak with our navigators about what a plan looks like so that they can curate one for you and talk about the time commitment to doing that. And that, to me, would be the best option. Hate to see people stop out, which is why I always mention create that plan and then try as much as possible to stick with that plan.
Our next question is, are there any plans for CAPS to offer doctoral degrees or to partner with existing doctoral programs to help staff achieve terminal degrees?
Yeah, you went into my dream state on that one. So yes, in my mind, and in a conversation I think I had with the provost some time ago, there was an idea for something. We are just not there yet. Like I could not add another idea to the people that work really close to me, because I think they would probably lock me out of the building. So, but it is on my mind. I had not thought about a partnership with the other schools, so that's an interesting option. And so that's why I paused on that one. So I'm going to look in that, but I think the soonest we would see something would be, we'd have to formulate the idea, develop the proposal, get HLC commitment. So maybe 2026, 2027. But staff earning a terminal degree is, yes, that is on our mind.
Do we have time for the video, you think?
Oh, there's a video?
There is a video.
Oh, sorry.
I don't know. Do we have time for it?
Play the video.
Haley says play the video. I don't know how yeah.
When I was a sophomore in high school, I dropped out for reasons of being bullied. And I received my GED just about 10 years ago, which is more of the reason why I felt like WashU would not accept me. I enrolled into the community college, and I did a year of coursework there. I was on the dean's list, and my manager, that's when she encouraged me, like, you work here, you can go there, like try, at least try. You can never say, at least I did not try. I went and spoke with an advisor. They knew that I had my GED and just the years of coursework at the community college. I had to write an essay as to why I wanted to enroll. And then I was accepted here at WashU. And so there's a space for everyone at WashU. Their program is very flexible. You can actually go at your own pace. You can fast track it, or you can say, hey, I'm just gonna take 3 credit hours, just based on your obligations and your priorities in your personal life. And your advisor will work with you like mine. She has worked with me. She knows what it is I want, and she knows that this is a priority for me. The instructors are very supportive. If you need help with anything, they are willing to meet with you offline or Zoom with you. They give you their cell phone number. And they even say, even after you've completed the course, hey, this is not the end of our relationship. You can still contact me. I could be a reference for you for anything if you need that. So it's very supportive. It has been life-changing and very humbling. Just knowing that I only had a year's worth of college experience. I dropped out of high school, and I'm here, and I belong.
We have 9 more tearjerkers like that. Not only they'll get to you. They really will. I know we have 6 minutes, so I'm committed.
Hello. Hi, I'm Hammy Sorkin. I am also a member of the DSC. And I was wondering, I really liked what you talked about, how, you were figuring things out. Sometimes you had to remove things to make it better, which I'm just one person, but I feel like WashU is really good about balancing stuff like that. So I'm pretty sure a few years ago, I was just wondering if you know the benefit from taking away this eligibility for part-time benefits eligible staff. They don't have access to CAPS.
I wasn't aware. Can you explain more?
I know I was part-time
Okay.
up until a few years ago. Well, a year and a half ago. And like right when I became eligible for it used to be, so for full-time, you need to be here for 1 year
Okay.
to reach it. And it used to be part-time. For benefits eligible people, you needed to be here for 2 years.
Okay.
And like right when I became eligible, they stopped that. So, I mean, now I'm full-time, but this is one of the great things about the DSC is that, we can ask you. So I was just wondering,
Sure.
why part-time benefits eligible employees don't have that.
I don't know the answer to the question, but I can ask. I won't call the person out, but I can ask the person who would know and get back to the council on that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I'm not making any promises, though.
I think we have one final question. Where do those with an associate degree fit in the sort of charts and schedule for how CAPS works? As in, what's the maximum length of time since completing an associate degree to continue on to a bachelor's degree?
If you're an employee?
Yes.
You want to?
Yeah. College credits don't expire. And that is super common that people have their associate's degree, and it doesn't matter if it's from 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Again, those credits don't expire. So what I would tell that person is to come talk to me, talk to one of my colleagues. We will happily look at your transcript and figure out a plan to get that associate's degree into a bachelor's degree if that is what the person is interested in doing. That is a very typical scenario for us.
Science courses may expire. So
Not for us.
Not for us? Okay.
Nope.
Wonderful. Thank you. I believe that's all the questions we have.
That's for Goldfarb. They
They
have
do
an
it?
expiration, but
We don't. Cool.
No?
No rush off. But thank you so much
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
Thank you.
sharing.
You do.
I also appreciate when we don't know the answers, that's okay to say too, right? And that we'll look into it. So I do really appreciate that because, we know we're putting people on the spot sometimes and you're not going to always have the answer, but I do appreciate the, continuing to look into things. So without further ado, we are going to bring up our nominations chair, Mandy Wortman, and she's going to talk a little bit about our recruitment cycle here at the DSC. And that is coming up now. Applications are actually already open, so.
They are. Hello. Can I borrow one of them? I don't want to be behind the podium. It's turned on for you. Perfect. My name is Mandy. I am the registrar and academic advising coordinator over at the law school. This is my third year on the DSC. And I am here to encourage everyone to apply to the DSC because we have some new rules this year. And if you really like coming to these forums and getting to participate as a staff member of the council, please do. I will make this brief. I know there's snackies waiting for us. Right. I need somebody to write that down for me. Okay. Especially working at the law school. Like, be bright. Just be calm. Okay. Do I hit this one? Which one do I hit? Yep. Okay. So our executive officers are Jessica and Evan, are our co-chairs, chair and co-chair. Eric is our secretary. You can see how much I prepared for it today. Haley was our parliamentarian, but is now our archivist. So if you want to be involved in the new and upcoming things that the DSC is doing, we are switching some things around, getting rid of Robert's Rules of Order and just doing some really great things. And then Martin is our treasurer. So on the DSC, you have to belong to one of our smaller committees. I'm not going to read all the names, but we do have 7 committees, 6, 7, I don't know. 6 or 7 committees. And when you fill out your application, you will get to choose 1 through 3, which ones you think will be most important to you. Bylaws has been doing amazing things. Amazing things. One, by getting rid of Robert's Rules of Order, and so now we have a new way that we process everything, and it makes things run so much smoother. So that's your Bylaws Committee. Then we have your Communications Committee. They're the ones who do our websites, do our forms, bring you all of the information, all the emails that you get. They work really, really hard. Then we have our Community Engagement Committee. Anytime you see us doing a donation drive or canned food drive or working with the community to bring WashU and our community together. So that is what we're working on there. Our lovely Events Committee who put on this wonderful show today. And Kate is back from maternity leave. Our Human Resource Committee, who gets to meet with the amazing Scott all the time, and we get to bother him so much. Nominations Committee, which in my opinion is the best committee. Maybe I'm biased. Okay, so what does the DSC do? We put on forums. No, just kidding. We bring you information. I learned so much today. And the reason that I joined the DSC is because my first town hall/forum was when they decided that we get short-term maternity leave, and then I had a baby. So I'm gonna thank the DSC for my child being 4 and being on this planet. So that was one of those things that, like, I was in that town hall and I was like, if this is something that the DSC can do, like, that's something that I want to be a part of. Getting our voices out there as staff. So we work in human resources, marketing, sustainability, the naming review board, which Will was on the committee for that, and staff recognition, which we're working on staff recognition as well. I know a lot of people want staff day back. We know this. We're working on it. Also, members of the DSC, we meet regularly with administrators on campus, including our CAO, the Vice Chancellor of Human Resources, and members of the Institutional and Equity, Office for Institutional Equity. So we are constantly meeting with all of the leaders here on campus to try to get you the information as staff that you need. And it's really exciting to be on this end of it, because it's like we kind of sort of hear things first, and then people ask, and we're like, it's coming, come to our forum and hear all about it. So it's nice to like get to be a part of the change. So what have we accomplished? We've been here since 2013, 15, 16? Around a long time. We've been, as a staff council, we've been around for about 10 years. So we cannot solely claim credit for these changes and implementations of these new policies. However, I do feel like we're kind of a conduit to that, right? Like, we're bringing the information to your university leaders, and we're saying, we're boots on the ground. This is what we hear. This is what we want to change. So paid parental and caregiver leave. Again, that's why Jensen's here. Adopting funding and infertility treatment covered. That is why Jessica has a baby too. Hybrid and remote work policy changes, which is super brand new, right after all of the pandemic stuff. Removal of sick and vacation time for waiting periods, which is amazing. Amazing. Because I had to wait. Anyway, immediate university contributions, which is awesome. Day 1, you're getting your contribution. I had to wait 2 years. So we're doing the work for you guys. All right, DSC membership eligibility, super easy. You have to work here for a year. Regular, full-time employment. 1 year or more of regular part-time employment, non-union university service prior to the start. I'm not gonna go blah, 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 you can read it. It's also on the forum and on the website, I promise. Currently employed and in good standing as a Danforth employee. Employees above the assistant, vice chancellor, provost level are not eligible. So Scott, I'm sorry, you can't be on the DSC. But, now CFU HR employees can be on the DSC. That is something we've changed. We have allowed our HR and staff to now be on the DSC. So if you're part of the HR staff, join, fill out the form. Employees, we support all non-medical campus employees, including those working at the CFU, West Campus, North Campus, and the Link. We do not include the medical staff, so that is one thing we don't do. Application selection. So our committee reads all of the applications. We have a rubric, and we are the ones who then present you to the DSC Staff Council, and we need applications. We need new ideas. We need new people. We love seeing all different kinds of people too. So right now I'm the only one from the law school. I think we only have one representation from Sam Fox. We need representation from all of our schools, okay, to get like a wide breadth of what's really going on throughout campus. So applications will be evaluated in areas of outreach, leadership, inclusion, belonging, and overall interest in staff council. Applicants should show a passion for the DSC mission and demonstrate a willingness to invest significant time, energy, and resources as a council member in the pursuit of a mission. I don't want to scare you off with the time commitment thing. As a chair member, a chair of a committee, I do about 10 hours a month extra, right? As a committee member, a general body committee member, it's about 3 hours a month, depending on like forums, extra hours, or if you want to be on more than one committee, great. And it also depends like the amount of time you put into it, right? So, but it's important, and the work that we do is important, and I want to see that we have good people too, so. Don't be scared off by the time commitment. The DSC will make every effort to ensure that the council includes representation from various employee groups on campus. Like I said, we do look at our data and our numbers to see how many people we have from the different schools. The DSC will not discriminate against any individuals for reasons of race, gender, sexual orientation, age, religion, national origin, marital status, veteran status, disability, or other categories routinely recognized by federal and local law. We want everyone. We want you to be a part of our council because it's important and the work that we do is important. Okay, QR code time. Applications are open until next Friday at 5 o'clock. Please apply. Please apply. Even if you're like, I don't know if I'll have time, apply, okay? It's important, and we want to work with you. I have one more year on the DSC. I'd love to see some new faces. I love my council members, but I'd love to see some new faces. And we're also losing some people this year, too, so it's important. It's a 2-year stint. So you are on the Danforth Staff Council for 2 years, then you have to reapply, so you get a 4-year stint if you are accepted for your application. Then you have to roll off for a period of 2 years, and then you can reapply. So there is lots of opportunity and lots of time and effort put into that, but like, again, it's also a good resume builder. We'll talk about leadership skills. It's great. Okay, any questions for me?
As someone who's not affiliated directly with one of the specific schools, it's for anybody. I work for a center. If you work for a center that does not report directly to a school, join me.
Anybody who works on the Danforth. Yes. And now our new HR people. I'm excited. Any other questions? And again, if you come to the forums, we have snacks.
And sweatshirts.
And sweatshirts. And swag. I will say for me personally, this has been a growth opportunity. I started at Sam Fox School as an admin. Now I'm the registrar at the law school. The meeting of people is crazy. Like, because you get so siloed, like Sam Fox people. I love you, Sam Fox people. You kind of just like, you stay in your own your buildings. And so being on the council is great because you get to meet somebody from like all over. Your remote workers, your hybrid workers, everybody. And it's great to like make those relationships and get those things started. I've had more opportunity on the Danforth Staff Council than I think I've had in the other 3 years that I've worked here at WashU. So, and I've been around for 6 years. So. Any other questions? Awesome.
So we are a little bit ahead of schedule, and I had a couple of our council members that were interested to share just a little bit about their why, which might be interesting for you all to hear if you're considering applying. So I wanted to ask them to quickly say a few words.
Thanks, Jessica. Hi, everyone. My name is Anna Eggemeyer. I'm an associate registrar in McKelvey School of Engineering, but when I started in Danforth, I worked in arts and sciences. And one of the main reasons I joined the council was because I really wanted to help advocate for staff. I wanted to help to tell my fellow staff members where they could go if they had a question or a concern. And since I've joined the council, when I first started, the first 2 years I was on the community engagement committee, and that was a lot of fun. We got to set up some clothing donation drives, food donation drives, and I had never done anything like that before, so through my council members and my fellow committee members, I really helped learn, especially the logistics of doing something like that. And it was really eye-opening and fun, and I've gotten to meet staff from several different schools within the university that I wouldn't have gotten to meet otherwise. So that is my why.
Hi again, my name's Hammy. I am in the biology department, and when I was on the staff committee, I was recommended to apply. And now I am the chair of the staff committee, and I get to incorporate these two things together. My main thing is also advocacy. If you know me at all, I really want to stand up for our employees, and that's what I was trying to do on the staff committee and why I was recommended to come here. So what we want to make sure is that, you know, our people, they love their jobs, they love what they do, but do they feel that appreciation? And that's what we are trying to do on the staff committee and here at the DSC. So I was able to connect that. We just hosted a staff retreat last week, and someone actually from CAPS presented, and it was a great presentation. And at the end, I was like, well, like, what does research say? Like, you know, obviously people want to take these classes. This is great, but, you know, are they happier? Are they more likely to get promotions with these classes? And she was like, I don't know, but you should ask the DSC. And I was like, I am on the DSC. I think I will. And also, I just really love the community. You know, I'm pretty isolated. I work in the greenhouse. So I love getting to hang out with these people. Like Mandy and I talked for 10 minutes about like thriller and romance books just before this. So it's a really great community and snacks. Thank you.
So I know Mandy kind of alluded to this, so I'll just share a little bit about my story. You know, I joined WashU in 2016. I came from social work. I was working really hard and making not very much money and very stressed out, and I moved over to WashU. We were also trying to start a family and were not successful. And in January of 2017, the infertility coverage benefits kicked in at WashU, and I was actually able to use the IVF coverage to ultimately have my son, who's now 6 years old. So a couple years later, I was having another baby, and when I was very pregnant, luckily, the paid leave policies kicked in, and I was able to have my second child with paid coverage while I was on leave. Those are just a few of the many, many policy changes that have happened in the last 7 years. And you know, I want to reiterate that we do not take full credit for those changes. That's been a big, you know, push from the top down, and I want to respect all of that. I just think that, you know, being on the council, you get to be part of those changes and you get to be part of those conversations. And so it's really, you know, impactful work, and it's really been meaningful to me. You know, coming from social work, I joined the business school, and I was kind of a fish out of water. You know, how do I continue to make a difference when I'm, you know, doing a very different set of skills over here? And this was just a natural fit for me. And, you know, I've seen a lot of positive changes in the last 7 years. And so if you'd like to be part of those changes, I'd love to have you join us. So please consider applying if you're interested. Do we have any other questions related to the nominations and recruitment process before we move on? Great. So we just have a couple more slides that I just wanted to put up a few other opportunities that are coming up on campus. We have some important dates to remember. We've got a couple of events that our Office of Institutional Equity shared with us so that we can make sure that, if you're looking for other ways to plug in or join on campus, we have the Earth Month speaker on April 5th, which sounds really interesting. We also on April 6th have the 33rd annual Buter Center powwow. And then on April 17th, I hope you'll all join us for the Day of Dialogue. I have in previous years been part of that committee. It's now done under the Office of Institutional Equity, but it's just a fantastic event where you really get to plug in with your community. So if that's an option for you or something you'd be interested in, I encourage you to attend that as well. Let's see. There we go. And then, so I think we have belabored the point at this point, but consider applying to the Danforth Staff Council. And our deadline is March 29th at 5 p.m. And then we have a few tables outside. And so I'd like to ask Jennifer to come up and talk a little bit about one of the opportunities that you have on campus.
Thank you, Jessica. My name is Jennifer Krubb. I'm with Jennifer Huck and Anna Eggemeyer. We are all members of Toastmasters on the Danforth campus. There are 3 WashU groups. You can find them by Googling WashU Toastmasters. The 2 Danforth groups are Toast of Woo and Woo Still Speaks. If you're in person, please stop by our table. You can enter a raffle to win a 6-month scholarship joining our group, especially if your department doesn't sponsor Toastmasters as professional development. That would be a great benefit for you. But for now, I want to share with you, or we want to share with you, a slice of one of our Toastmasters meetings, which includes impromptu speaking. You're given a topic, and you have, we'll say, 1 minute to share your thoughts. Typically 1 to 2 minutes on your topic. Anna, we'll start with you. Sure. Anna, your question is, what are some of your favorite takeaways from your Toastmaster membership? And I'll be timing. Okay. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master. What was the question? What were my I was preparing for a different one.
Favorite takeaways from Toastmasters?
Thank you. Some of my favorite takeaways from Toastmasters are the impromptu portions of the meeting, like today. This actually also helped me with when I was on stage earlier answering a similar question about why I wanted to join the DSC. So the takeaways, I originally joined Toastmasters because I wanted to become more quick-witted and to be able to just answer a question like this off the cuff, kind of like I'm doing right now, especially when I hear the question correctly the first time. I think another skill and another takeaway for me personally from Toastmasters was in giving a prepared speech. Before I joined Toastmasters, I would memorize a speech word for word, including every is and the and a and an in the speech. And as you can imagine, that takes a very long time, a lot of talking to yourself, and it's just not a very productive way of learning a speech. So now I have found a better way to just kind of like practice the general ideas, and then once I'm comfortable and used to talking about that subject, I can just rattle it off in a prepared speech. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Anna. And Jennifer, how has Toastmasters helped you professionally here at WashU?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, Jennifer, and all of our potential Toastmasters out there. When Washington University brought Toastmasters to Washington University about 10 years ago, I knew I wanted to join. My job was increasingly having me get up and talk in front of groups or in meetings having to give presentations. And I was always very nervous beforehand. And by joining Toastmasters, I practiced week after week with a small group of very supportive people. We're all learning together. And I feel like I have grown in my speaking skills, and I'm up here, and I'm not shaking, I'm not dying. But some of the other things that I've learned with Toastmasters is I've been able to gain leadership skills. So we have a leadership team with each Toastmaster club. And when we were electing those leadership teams, I was planning to like hide under the table so I wouldn't be elected. But one of the roles was VP of membership. And I thought, oh, I can do that. So within the first year of being with Toastmasters, I was VP of membership, and I've held many roles since that time. One of the best parts of Toastmasters is really working with other colleagues and getting to know others and network. When I was able to receive a promotion, I felt like I had grown in my leadership skills, my speaking skills, but also networking skills. And when I was promoted, I knew a lot of people from various areas of the university, so I was able to get to know people better and network even more. So I thank you.
All right, thank you.
That was over a minute.
Thank you again for letting us speak here with you. Please join us at our table to learn more and again to enter the raffle. And we do have candy. Thank you.
Thanks, Jennifer and your team, for sharing that. We also have a table from the Office of Institutional Equity with some of our affinity group leaders. So if that's an interest to you, please go check out that table as well. And I also wanted to encourage you all to visit equity.woostel.edu. That website, if you're looking for ways to connect with other groups on campus, whether those are staff groups, student groups, any groups, you can, those are all on that website there. There's actually a drop-down bar, which is really handy, that says I am, and then there's a drop-down for staff, faculty, student, looking for, and another drop-down with kind of what you might be looking for to plug into. So wanted to share that with you all because I think it's a great resource that maybe not everyone knows about. And so without any further ado, I just wanted to let you all know to reach out with any direct follow-up to staffcouncil@woostel.edu as well. In addition, you all will receive a post-event survey in the near future. Several of the changes that we made to this forum were a direct result of feedback we received. And of course, your questions and feedback throughout the year inform our decisions for future forum topics and themes, in addition to the feedback we share on an ongoing basis during our conversations with the WashU administration. So please, when you receive that survey, fill it out. And if you have anything that is more personal in nature that you wanted to share directly with us, we do have an email, the staffcouncil@woostel.edu, like I have up on the screen here. And my inbox is always open to reach out directly to me if you are interested in that as well. I really appreciate each of you taking the time today to join us. I hope you have a wonderful evening, and please join us for the reception, which is right outside, to have a snack.